What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to go over Thor. We're going to go over all of his basic abilities, some tips and tricks that you can use to take this character into whatever mode you desire. So getting right into it, his basic abilities are going to be, his first one that we're going to look at is his left click. So it's just this simple hammer swing. Pretty easy. No headshot modifier, nothing like that. It does do like a frontal cleave, so as you can see, my cursor is not anywhere near this target, but I'm still hitting them. So if there were multiple targets in front of me, you can definitely cleave with this attack. So pretty basic, nothing else to really go over there, at least until we get to his resource management, resource generation bit. His left shift is this dash forward. So we'll start on this line. We'll get to about that second line if we just tap it. So pretty simple. If we do the same thing, but we hold it down, we will go a little bit farther. So takes us well past that second line. Good to know. So you can use this as an engage tool. You can also use it to get out. It is directional, so you can dash out, you can dash, up, you can dash down, all that sort of stuff. So very important as far as engaging and disengaging on this character. It is also important to note that if you tap it, that's about the damage that you would do, and then if you charge it up fully, that's about the damage that you would do. So there's not a whole lot of difference between the damage. So really just use this however you see fit. You can just combo it into an auto attack. You're still getting a good amount of damage out of it. It's not your main damage ability, so make sure that you're using it primarily for positioning if you can. The last ability that we're going to go over before we talk about resource management and durability and all that sort of thing is his F. His F puts you in this lightning form, and you get these new auto attacks that are a series of 4 auto attacks. So you will just activate this, and then your auto attacks go from this hammer swing to 1, 2, 3, 4. And you have a limited amount of time to do that as well. So you will only be able to get in 8 auto attacks in that 5-second window, but these do an incredible amount of damage. So definitely keep in mind that you can melt squishy targets with this. So just to show you on a Luna Snow here, let's actually get our resource back real quick. And so Luna Snow, we're going to activate our F, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's no headshot modifier or anything like that, but 4 body shots will kill 275 health target. So we're getting a ton of damage off of our F ability. Okay, so now the kind of bread and butter of Thor's kit, which is his passive, which is Thor Force. So Thor Force is measured by these hammers that you see in the center of my screen, these little white hammers that you see floating. That is how you will use your basic abilities. So the bottom right hand corner above each ability is a hammer cost. So that is how many Thor Force charges it will take to activate that ability. As you can see, if I right click, it will consume 1 charge. If I use my left shift, it will consume another charge. And then if I were to use my F, I consume all 3 charges in order to enter this lightning kind of Archon form, that sort of thing. So definitely make sure that you're managing those charges and you have enough Thor Force to use what you want to use next. This brings us into our E ability, which is the primary way that you will get, well, one of the primary ways that you will get Thor Force back. So if you can see, I'll right click, I will shift, I'll spend Thor Force, and I E. I can get right back up to 3 Thor Force. This gives you Thor Force based on the amount of targets that you hit. So if you hit 2 targets, which is pretty much the only amount that you will need to hit, since they'll start rebuilding as soon as as soon as you're in your F, you'll pretty much build a full charge during the duration of your F. So you really only need to generate 2 more to be back up to 3 after consuming all 3 of your Thor Force charges. So that's pretty important. But yeah, your E is your main way to get Thor Force very quickly. Additionally, you can do something like this. So when you use any ability, so whether that be your F, your left shift, or your right click, afterwards your hammer will start glowing blue. As you can see, my hammer is glowing blue for exactly 5 seconds. If I right click, same thing happens, hammer glows blue. During this 5-second window, you can auto attack and gain a Thor Force. So if I spend 2 Thor Force here, and then I auto attack, I build another full Thor Force when I auto attack. So that is going to be a huge way of generating Thor Force, making sure you have enough Thor Force. You want to stay like probably above 2 if you can. Spend it as needed, but you can pretty much build it before you even need it. like you're auto attacking before that brief cooldown after my abilities ends. So that is your other primary way of building resource. And then if you really get low, or after you use your F, after you go into this form, and even this, you build one Thor Force automatically, and then your auto attack builds you another one. So your E is really just getting you that extra Thor Force that you ordinarily wouldn't have. So lots of ways to make sure that you are topped on resources. Something else to note about his F button is that it does do this tiny AoE around you. So you can see this bot is taking a little bit of damage for the duration. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage, so I would focus more on hitting all of the attacks in your Archon form as opposed to making sure that you're standing near someone to get that little bit of extra damage. But it can help a little bit. The last thing to mention is that when you use any of his basic abilities, regardless of if they hit a target or not, you do build shield. So as you can see, I'm now at 800. The shield persists, and then it starts to gradually fall off. This is where you get pretty much all of your durability as this character. He doesn't have any self heals or anything like that. He just has this shield building. So as you can see, his health pool is a little bit low for a Vanguard. It's at 600. But when you're going in and you're doing damage and you're using abilities and you're pushing people around and right clicking, left clicking, all this sort of stuff, you can keep that shield up because it does refresh the duration if you're just using abilities. So that's why it's important to constantly be using abilities, generating Thor Force, making sure that you're not going any significant amount of time without using an ability, because you're effectively able to heal 100 health every couple seconds. So very, very important to know. The last thing that we're going to go over with Thor is his ultimate. So after this brief delay, you will go up into the sky and you'll start doing all this ticking damage to things below you, and then you will crash down and you'll do a ton more damage. This ult is crazy. It does a ton of damage. It doesn't really appear to have a distance. As you can see, I was super high up there. Yeah, it's insane. So you'll always pretty much be hitting targets that are below you. So even if I use it from way up here and I ultimate and I hold down space to ascend as high as I possibly can, I'm still hitting targets. So it's pretty hard to get to a height where you wouldn't actually be hitting targets. But yeah, so that initial damage, very, very important. And then as you can see, I only hit this last bot with one tick and then the smack, and it goes crazy. So just to show you on a 275 health target what this would do, basically below half HP, and then I smash down and kind of finish the job. So very, very good ult. Definitely use it in a crowd of people. It can shred people. It can do a ton of damage very, very quickly, and you might even get a couple picks on some squishy targets that are a little bit out of position. So use his ult as much as you can. Get at least a couple targets with it. Definitely don't be solo ulting with it too. Something else you might have seen on my screen is that you can hold spacebar, and you can also left control to descend. At least that's the binding for me. So if you want to ascend or descend or anything like that, you can do that. I don't know if it'll help a whole lot because you move so slowly in your ult form. And again, you can also move left and right and that sort of thing. But make yourself a little bit harder to hit, especially if you, for some reason, use this when you're really low on health. You don't want to be getting Hawkeye headshot or something like that right as you're doing all of your damage. So yeah, well, that's Thor. Pretty simple character. Just make sure that you are using his abilities as much as possible, making sure that you're weaving in auto attacks between abilities so that you can generate more Thor Force and use more abilities. Keep that overshield up. And yeah, that's it for the guide today. I hope you guys learned something in this one. If you didn't, if there's anything that I missed, please leave it in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.